Great. So, welcome to the Bonnie Earl Show. This is a podcast for women where women show up. They come exactly as they are. They show up unmasked, unmuzzled, unapologetic. In this episode, be prepared to be uplifted, be encouraged, be inspired, because I have my beautiful friend, Darlene McBeth, as my guest today. So welcome, Darlene.
Oh, thank you, Bonnie. I was so thrilled to be on your list to be interviewed
Yes, and to be top of the list.
and top of the list. Yes,
Yes,
I,
yes.
I am very privileged.
Thank, thank you. And so, Darlene, I thought that we might begin with you sharing in your own words a Reader's Digest version of your backstory. Where were you when we met, leading up to 2018 when you made a decision and acquired your Helping Hands Estate Services?
All right. Well, basically, just a little bit of background is I worked for a nonprofit for 12 years as office manager and executive assistant to the president. He retired, and I decided it was time for me to move on. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I thought, well, why don't I try starting my own company? I'll work for myself. So I started, and I started doing some temp office work, and then got into helping a couple declutter. And I met you, Bonnie, through an organization, Straw Optimist, and I still count that as the best day ever that we met because you definitely changed my life. And so, because there was a lot of stuff going on, I was going through separation and divorce, and trying to build my business, which is called Declutter SOS. I still have that one, and it um, was helping seniors downsize. And I mean, because it's very traumatic for seniors to even think about going into smaller spaces after living in their places for 30, 40, 50, even 60 years. So I would help them go through their items and that. Um, so that's what I was doing. And I was charging an hourly wage and met you, and you invited me to join one of your classes. And I'm going, oh, I don't know what this is about. I was a little bit, I had some trepidation, and I'm going because I did not like to be in the spotlight. I did not like to be seen. And I know that for myself. Um, and so got into your class, and it was a little bit uncomfortable, but I'll tell you, that was in probably 2012 that you did that, 2013.
Yes, maybe 2013.
2013, beginning January 2013, because I remember it was a brand new year.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, I loved that because it helped me
Mhm.
to be seen and to be heard and not be afraid to do that. So my business did start to grow, and it was through your encouragement and your coaching that I was able to go from charging hourly to charging a fee. And that was huge for me.
Right.
And because when I was charging an hourly fee, I would go in and have first thing you had to do with when you're sitting down, you get there, you have to have coffee and you chat, right? Because stories are a great thing. People
Yes.
want to be heard. They want to tell about their lives. And sometimes there's no family around to listen, or they don't want to listen. So, and then you stop at 10 o'clock and you have some tea and cookies. And then, by noon, they're tired, they're exhausted. And so I was charging an hourly wage, and I was thinking, well, I can't charge them if I'm just talking to them. So getting the fee, I was able to say, this is what I estimate it should be. And then um, I don't have to worry about that. If I spend 2 hours in a day just talking,
Mm.
it'll help them, right? So anyway, so that's
It took the stress off of you by
it.
going
It
to
did.
see. And
Yeah.
I mean, and that's one of your gifts. Like one of your gifts is that you have this beautiful heart and
Mhm.
you are very compassionate. And that's what seniors need. Well, that's what all of us need, but like
Yeah,
for seniors to have someone who will listen to their stories because
yeah,
it's so important,
it
right?
is.
So it's just
It
like,
is.
wow. So that took off the stress.
That took off the stress.
Yes.
And then and then um well, just going, I kept up on the coaching and the group sessions that we had. I mean, I've made some wonderful friends throughout that. But the support um, was really great. So coming up, it was 2018, I think in August, we were sitting and in our one of our sessions, and I had said, I really want to expand my business because you were asking, what do you want to do? And I want to expand my business. I was a one person show with getting help sometimes to do some heavy lifting, but I was doing everything myself. There's got to be an easier way. And so my word that I came up with was live bold.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just started thinking, okay, how can I expand my business? Of course, the universe always takes it in a different direction that I think it's going to go, and it doesn't take a long time. And so that was probably in August, early September, and all of a sudden I get this email from Helping Hands Estate Services, who I had gone to a couple of their estate sales. And it was interesting because the woman was selling. She had started the business in 2001. It was 2018. She was ready to retire. I think she was close to 80. I'm not too sure, but she was ready to retire and she was selling the business. And I thought, oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent back an email and I was going, oh, this is kind of weird. Like I don't know, could I buy a business? Anyway, so there's other people in line for it because it was a very successful um, estate sale service company. And so she liked me and she sold me the company.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And
And
I love in this, Darlene, how well there's I mean, there's just so many things in your story, but it's how you and part of the for people who are listening is that one of the things that we do every year is we invite a word. It's not like choosing a word, it's that the word comes to us, and in that particular word what or year what came to you is, and if my memory serves correctly, it was bold initially, and
yes,
then it was live bold,
yeah.
and then it's okay, the word comes to me, and then and then I get an email, and the email, I'm not really sure, but I've talked about wanting to expand my business. I've talked about living bold, and it's okay, here you are. It's like it's served up to you in your lap.
It did. And there was like going back and forth between the two words because I had a very dear friend of mine that was passing from cancer. And so the live was really a huge thing, but so was the bold. And all of a sudden it just came together.
Yes,
And that had to be it.
that would
And
happen.
I use that a lot. Like even now, you know, X number of years later, I still think, yeah, I'm still living bold.
Right, right.
And I like that.
Yeah, yeah, I love it, and I've embraced that phrase as well, and I think
Yeah.
that's part of what I love about our group is that each woman has a word, and it's like each woman's word becomes our word, and
Hmm.
we encourage each other to live our word, and so the woman liked you. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. Well, I was scared and I was going, oh, what kind of step is this? And then so that at that time it was in person sales.
Yes.
And so she stuck around for a while, but I knew her heart wasn't in it anymore.
Mhm.
But just to let you know, they for the past X number of years since 2001, they'd been doing 4 to 5 in-person estate sales.
Right.
The first year I took it to over 45 estate sales per year. And I worked really hard and I came up. I she had 7 staff and I increased it to 40
Wow.
that were part-time. And, they would work different shifts. Not everybody worked every day. We worked on the weekend. So I was basically working 7 days a week. I'd
Yes.
work all week getting the sale ready. And then on the weekend, I'd be working the sale with a bunch of staff.
Right.
Anyway, so that's
So,
what
so,
we,
so yeah, so let's just pause. It's like,
yeah.
holy moly, this is amazing. Like when you think about it, so the business was in-person sales, 4 to 5 a year,
Mhm.
and you took that to 45 sales in the first year.
Us. Yeah.
Yes.
And after that, yeah,
Right? And then
yeah,
from 7 staff or 4 or 5 staff, pardon me, to
yeah,
7 staff to 40 staff part-time.
yeah,
And with you working your buns off
yeah,
7 days a week in
yeah.
order to
Hmm.
create this business.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like, wow,
yeah,
wow,
yeah. It was a lot of work.
a lot of work. And then,
And I called in 2019. My eldest daughter, Val, joined me,
yes,
and she is my right hand, and
yes,
huge. And then I had other family members helping when needed. And then my daughter, Rachel, my youngest daughter, also has joined and has worked for me for several years. And she is my my left hand,
yeah,
you know. Yeah, yeah, I've got it covered.
wow,
Anyway, yeah, and she looks after so many things. She does the order pickup days and stuff. So, and then I've got about 8 to 10 staff
right.
that
Wow.
we can do. And that's because getting the reason why it reduced to that much is because of the pandemic.
Right. Okay. So let's
So
talk.
here we are.
So, so,
Yeah.
so 2019, you made another decision. Like it
Yeah.
was that your business was going to expand again. And,
Hmm.
so what was the decision around that piece of the expansion? And then COVID hits. Okay, tell us this part.
Okay, so 2019, I think I was at lunch with you and another friend,
Yes.
and I said, one day I want to have a storefront.
Mhm. I remember
I have
that.
to be so careful about what
Be careful
I
about
put
what you
out there.
say because
I
it,
know.
boom. Yeah.
So within a couple of months, um, there was an opportunity for me to get a storefront.
Mhm.
And it came through BNI, which is an organization that I belong to. And I joined that one I think it was in 2019. Yeah, well, I think it was in 2019 I joined it.
Yeah.
And it's there's lots of chapters throughout the world, and we exchange business.
Yeah.
And our chapter here is one of the largest at 42 members, and we do over $2.2 million a year.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, Darlene, it was what really strikes me here is that part of this journey of facing challenges is that you reached out and got support.
Hmm.
I was part of that,
Yeah.
and BNI was part of that. Your
Hmm.
daughter Val and your daughter Rachel were part of that.
Yeah.
Family, friends. I mean, you were asking for help, and the
Yes.
right
Yeah.
help came, and
Yeah.
then you got clear on what it was you wanted, and then boom, things appeared. So you got
Yeah.
this storefront now.
Got the storefront. So I think we finally got it in like late November, December. And I remember the moment I decided to have a staff party and invite friends and who had been supportive in that. And we had a huge Christmas party there. And I can remember standing up um, on the upstairs part and looking over and going, oh, look
Yes.
at this.
Yes. And I remember that too, Darlene. And what I remember was the pride, but
Yes.
there was a humility.
Mm,
There was both, there was a humility. And I remember how you started off by thanking your family
mm,
that this would not have happened without the support of your and love of your family
yeah.
and friends.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
thanking staff. And so there was this beautiful pride mixed with humility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great opportunity. So
Yes.
we started getting the store ready and opened it up. Um, and in January, I believe we finally opened it. We were ready, and it was all secondhand goods. You know, it was a thrift store,
Mhm.
and we were still doing our regular estate sales in in person still, and it was, I think, so we opened in January. In March, they started closing things down due to the pandemic. And I mean, we didn't know what it was at that point. Um, just that people were getting sick all over the world. And we had to close the store. We tried to do it where, and we were trying to find the guidelines. We hear on the news, okay, there's new guidelines. So you'd be searching online, okay, what are the guidelines? It's especially with online sale or in-person sales. So what happened is that I still had contracts to fill. And so from December and January and February, I still had like around 40 people working for me.
Right.
The pandemic comes and we went down to like 6 or 7
Wow.
because people stayed home.
Yeah.
They didn't want to work.
Right.
So then I'm going, okay, what am I going to do here? So,
Do you remember, Darlene? It's kind of like their pivotal moments. Do you remember there being kind of that pivotal moment where it was, oh my gosh, like this is my new reality? What
yeah,
am I going to
yeah.
do?
And
And
how am I going to finish helping my clients that I've promised to help?
right. And
That was foremost on my mind. Like, how can we do this?
right.
So I had some contracts that I had to fulfill. And so, you know, I'd send out our email and say, hey, because of the pandemic, we have to do this. So you have to book an appointment to come in, and you have like a 15-minute window to go through the house. Um, and some people didn't show up.
Right.
Some people would go through and not buy anything or buy something for $5. So, I mean, it was difficult. Like I felt bad because I could not sell enough. So I had to, try and call in some buyers that I know to try and buy stuff.
Right.
So that was like we did some March and April. And well, in April, Val and I were talking and okay, how are we going to do this? Like we have to be able to
Mhm.
do this another way.
Right.
And so, started, that's when the online stuff came up.
So how did that
And
idea come, Darlene? I mean, I mean, very familiar with the in-person sales of an estate sale.
Mhm.
How did you even come up with that idea to go
Yeah.
online?
Well, it was probably Val going, okay, this is, there's places like, eBay,
Oh,
there's all the other online places, and then there were online the online auctions were starting, and we thought, oh, well, let's look into it. So then I mean, it's it was a huge job looking into the different sites, that would host it.
yes.
And then when you finally decide on a site, then, and Val was so instrumental in doing all that research and, and playing with this site and figuring out how it works.
It's
But
wonderful having smart kids.
I know yeah, rely on them a lot.
Uh-huh.
Um, but you definitely, so beginning of May, we ended up when we did our first online estate sale in Canmore.
Okay.
And so doing an estate sale outside the city that far away can be challenging too. So I always say, oh, you can have a pickup because I'd be there and we'd be loading stuff, but you can have a drive out to Canmore. It's a beautiful day and pick up your items. And some people did, which was great. But I had hired movers to bring it um, back to Calgary for people to pick up here, just to make it easier for them. Yeah,
Wow.
but that was our first one.
Wow. And then
Yeah.
after you did your first one,
Mhm.
then what
You
next?
know what? I really like the online sales.
Mm.
And Yeah.
Did you
They,
think, like when you were organizing that first one, did you think that you would like this and that
oh,
this?
I thought we were definitely going back to in-person sales.
Oh,
And so what happened is with online sales, I went from working 7 days a week to actually having a more balanced life
wow. Wow.
where I'm not Saturdays and Sundays, I can have some time to myself. I still do some work. I do some office work. I might go meet a potential client, or there might be something, but I can have more of a balanced life, and I really like it. And the other thing is about the online sales is that people shop 24 hours a day instead
Right.
of 2 day in-person sale on a Saturday and Sunday, which is reliant on the weather,
Yes.
how many people are going to show up due to the weather, or it's a beautiful day, nobody's going to show up, or whatever it is. And then who knows if they're going to come back the second day,
Right. So
right?
for you, the benefits of the online is that you have a more balanced life. For your customers, they
Mhm.
can access the sale 24 hours a day rather than just the few hours of going into the home. And,
That's right.
and then what about for your clients? How are they responding to the online?
I think that the online sales, because we went from a 2 day in person to a 4 day online, it runs Tuesday to Friday. And then we have our order pickup on Saturday. And I think that our clients, they benefit more because I think we have better sales. We sell more items. Um, as in we sell more items that we've listed, and it just is, they don't have to have people coming into their house, because that a lot of times that was the thing. Well, I don't want anybody in my house, especially during the pandemic. We
Right.
didn't people you like we didn't want people traipsing through either, so it would be our staff. We were masking up, whatever the guidelines were, we were doing it, just the staff. And so this was nice, and we still work that way to today.
Right.
Majority, when people are picking up, they're picking up from outside.
Right.
My staff are bringing it out to them. So
Yes.
they don't even go into the house. And my clients really like that.
Wonderful. So it's a win-win-win.
It is,
Yeah.
definitely.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I so wanted you to be my guest, Darlene, because you are such an inspiration. You are truly an inspiration. And, part of what we have worked together on is how we women often stay in the struggle because we don't know that we're bigger than any obstacle. You've proven that you are bigger than any obstacle. We sometimes stay in the struggle because we're not able to see that in adversity, there are actually gifts.
Yeah.
You've been able to see the gift of COVID that
Yeah.
while some businesses were shut down
Mhm.
completely and maybe went out of business, your business continued. You did that shift, and you were able to thrive. And for you, for your clients, for your customers, right?
Yeah.
And then I see you um, knowing that you are the author of your life. You get to write the story of your life, and you
Mhm.
deserve to be seen and heard. And here you are.
Yes.
And it's like,
Yes.
wow,
Yeah.
like it's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the one thing I do want to point out is that um, I also had to learn how to delegate.
Oh,
So giving over some control over to Val, to Rachel, and to my other staff members, you know, um, because I couldn't do this job now without my staff members.
mhm, right.
So
And isn't
yeah,
that something I know for myself? I still have difficulty sometimes delegating to other people.
there are things that I have difficulty still in delegating.
And asking for help still is another one that I
Yes.
sometimes have difficulty with. I'm getting
Yeah.
better at it. I see you getting better at it, asking
Yeah.
for help. So that's, yeah, what a beautiful story. What are you most proud of, Darlene, in this part of the journey? Going through COVID and coming out on the other side, bigger and better and bolder. What are you most proud of?
Hmm. I am most proud of the fact that over the years, there's so many clients that we've been able to help
Mhm.
reduce some of their stress in emptying out the houses, whether they're the executor or the power of attorney or a family member or a senior downsizing. I, we are able to reduce some of that stress
Mhm.
in their life because of what we do. All
Yes.
right. And a lot of people can look at a house that, just is filled to the brim and they have no idea what to do and they're overwhelmed.
Yes.
And we go in there and we go, oh, okay,
Mm.
let's get started.
Right.
We know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And I think I'm very proud of the fact that we have helped so many people do that. And the other thing is that one of our big thing is to keep as much out of the landfill as possible.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm very proud that we do that, and we're fairly innovative in how we do that. We have people who will come in and pick up metal, old wood, old tools, you name it, and they recycle it, they repurpose it, and our clients appreciate it that some of this stuff is not being thrown into the landfill. Some stuff has to go to the landfill. It's garbage, yes, but we sort for that
Mhm.
and donate a lot um, to the different organizations,
Mhm.
whether it's, one of the, thrift stores or, nonprofits and that. But we do try and keep as much as possible out of the landfill.
Right. Right. Well, I think about my mom and dad had lived in their home for 42 years, and my dad passed, and my mom lived in the home for a number of years, and then when she had dementia, and it meant that she needed to move to a facility, and then my brother, sister, and I were left with the home.
Yes.
And I certainly could have used your services. I don't know that I
Mhm.
knew that there was such a service that existed. Had I known, and I mean, that was back in Ontario, but it's that families are often, left with this responsibility. And it's, well, the family takes what they want out of the home, and then it's, well, what do you do with the rest? And as I talk with you, it's that you have that compassion for the family, that respect for the history of the family, and you take the stress out of basically liquidating a lifetime of memories and accumulated treasures. And I know you in that everything that you do is done in a respectful way. And so there are items that are sold, there are items that are donated, there are items that are discarded, but everything that you do is done in a respectful way.
Mhm. Yeah, it
And
is.
so if there are people who are listening to our conversation, it's that there is help available.
Yes, and you don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to worry about it. And if there are people that are looking for that kind of help, call me in for a walkthrough
Yes.
earlier than later because I can save you a lot of work, a lot of stress. Just because a lot of people, when they look at something, they go, "Oh, that's from the 60s. Oh, nobody wants that. That's garbage." Like
Wow.
I had one potential client that I went to, and they says, "Yeah, we filled 2 bins." And I'm going, "Well, there's nothing left here."
Right.
And so call me in early.
Yeah.
Uh, it takes about an hour for me to do a walkthrough, and
Mhm.
I can give you some ideas on what to do. And then if you use my services after that, that's great. If you don't, that's okay. I always say family takes what they want first. We'll deal with the rest. Whether it's food in the cupboards, we will go through it. And if it's expired, it's garbage. But if it's not expired, we donate to the food bank. We have all sorts of places to send things, and we know what is going to sell and where it's needed. So we can do that sort. So all you have to do is take what you want. And the other thing is you don't have to worry about missing personal papers or money or photographs that maybe it is hidden someplace, because people pack things away in the strangest places,
Mhm.
because we go through absolutely every pocket, box. And if we find any of those items, money, anything like that, that goes into what we call the family closet. So
Mhm.
you don't have to worry about missing out on something.
Right. It's so beautiful. And I love that today is kind of like two for one. On the one hand, it's there's a message for families who are needing your service and getting an idea of how that goes. And then it's also for entrepreneurs that are going through, maybe they are facing an obstacle, maybe it might not be COVID,
Yeah.
but if there is a woman entrepreneur who is bumping up against an obstacle right now, whatever that obstacle is, what would be your best advice for that fellow female entrepreneur?
Ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Really ask for help. Ask questions. Join a business group. And that's why I'm very grateful to have belonged to BNI for so long, is because I was working so much that I never had time to meet with other business owners to hear new ideas and ask for advice and give advice and that. And so my time that I've spent so far with BNI has been incredible. I mean, I've given business to a lot of trusted businesses, and I've received business from these people, these members. And if I have a problem, hey, like how do you do this? Or, this is what's happening. People have advice. They want to help,
Yes, yes.
and so that's, ask for help. Join a business group that you can share ideas, even if you think that it's too much time to spend outside of your business. For me, being in BNI and exchanging the business and having that contact with other business owners, that's part of my business,
Yes,
because they're promoting me
yes, yes.
and
Very,
I'm promoting them.
yes. Beautiful, beautiful words, beautiful advice. And for people who want to contact you, I'm going to put your contact
Right.
information underneath in the link,
Yeah.
and they can reach out to you if they have questions, if they want to find out more.
Yeah.
Also, for our listeners, we would appreciate you liking and sharing this podcast with other people. I will put my contact information below as well. As Darlene said, I am a coach and mentor, and part of my joy is helping women see what they can't yet see. And I love, Darlene, that you've got the B sign behind you, because that's been a big part of the work that we have done together in the world. Often
Definitely.
it's what do you do, where
Mhm.
as women, it's who do we want to be? And it's more about the being.
Yeah.
And I love your word, the be bold. And so if you also know of a woman who would like to be a guest on this podcast, I'll put the information below for that as well. Or if those listening, they themselves would like to be a podcast guest, then the information is below. And my hope is to build a beautiful community of women supporting women. So thank you, Darlene, for being here today. And It's been an absolute joy. And joy was one
Oh,
of your words one year. And
yes, it was.
I use that word, I think of you. So it's been an absolute joy talking this morning, and I will talk with you soon.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Bonnie, for being who you are
Yeah.
and
Thank,
for all the help that you give women.
thank you. Thank you. Okay, and we will talk soon.
All right.